To explain a little bit about what we're going to hear today, I'd like to introduce Leah Garabedian, the president of the Environmental Club.
Good morning, everyone. In spirit of 2020 being the 50th Earth Day, today we will be listening to Miss Bonnie Combs and watching Bag It, a documentary about the importance of reducing our unnecessary plastic use. Miss Combs is the marketing director of the Blackstone Heritage Corridor. Their mission is to work with community partners to preserve and promote the valley's historic, cultural, natural, and recreational resources for future generations. Miss O'Neill heard Miss Combs speak this summer and was impressed by her commitment to the environment of the Blackstone Valley area and the way she devoted herself. The Environmental Club has introduced a new theme of reduce your use to our high school this year. This means that it is our goal to decrease the amount of plastic we waste. Part of our efforts to implement this theme has been handing out reusable water bottles to the incoming freshmen and partnering with Trex Decking Company's nationwide competition to collect filmy plastic that cannot otherwise be recycled. We are honored to have Ms. Combs here today to continue educating our school community and to celebrate the work we have accomplished thus far. Everyone, please welcome Ms. Combs.
Good morning, everybody. It's a true honor to be here. Thank you, Ms. O'Neill, and very inspired. Leah, great job. You have a beautiful school here. I just hope you know that. Okay, so my name is Bonnie, and guess what? I like to talk trash. So oh yeah, you're gonna see in these pictures, you're gonna see some inspiring things over the years. So yes, I work for the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Corridor. I do marketing, public relations, and marketing and advertising, but I also am involved with our Trash Responsibly program. And as you see up here in front of me, I brought some gifts to add to the collection of the Trex Plastic Bag Recycling Challenge. So very excellent. Okay, so just to give you a visual of, has anybody ever heard of the Blackstone River Valley National Heritage Corridor? You might see signs on the highway. It's pretty big. It expands from Worcester all the way down to Providence. It's 25 communities now, and it follows the spine of the Blackstone River. And you heard the mission, so we preserve and promote the natural, historical, cultural, and recreational resources. And just to give you another visual, you've heard of a watershed? This is the area that the Blackstone River impacts. It goes actually outside the borders of the corridor and shows all the tributaries to the river. And because it plays such a major role in our geographic area, that's where the Trash Responsibly mission comes in to protect these natural resources. So this beautiful thing, this is where I work. Not here, but there's a mill building adjacent to it. But I get to park my car and look at this every morning and every day when I go home. So I feel pretty lucky. And this continues to inspire me to keep the watershed clean. Wouldn't it inspire you the same way? But this is not inspiring, is it? So this is in Blackstone. I live in Blackstone, Mass. Love living in the valley. I'm right near the river, and I love to take walks by the river. But one day I walked and I saw this, and it really hurt me to see the impact when litter makes its way down the river. So I called some friends. There's two watershed groups in the valley. One is the Blackstone River Watershed Council out of Rhode Island, and there's the Blackstone River Watershed Association in Mass. But my friends in Rhode Island, they have a fleet of canoes, and they regularly get out there on the water and pick up trash. So I called my friends, and then I called the town, and I got permission to go into this area. And we set off. Have you ever been to the Blackstone Gorge? If you haven't, you got to check that out. It's off a county street, you gotta go. So that's where we put the boats in, and you can see in some of the pictures, we were paddling along to get to this particular wall. And on the bottom left, you see the before with the trash, and then next to it was the after photo. And we called the newspapers, so we got newspaper coverage and really made a big splash. So this was one of the first events I did when I joined the corridor. And that little letter B you see at the top, looks really dirty, that was floating in the water, and I kept it. I was really inspired because it's the first letter of my name, and B for Blackstone. So I made a little photo collage and framed it, so this is in my office. So when I joined the corridor, we had a new executive director. She came from Connecticut, and she was equally disturbed by the amount of trash she was seeing on her commute to our office. We were in Woonsocket at the time. And so we coined the phrase. We thought, what are we going to do about this? We didn't want a negative connotation to it, so we decided to call it Trash Responsibly. And that opened it up to a lot of things, including recycling. So the first thing we did is we acquired some car litter bags. And we were selling them, but anybody know, Subaru, they're very environmentally conscious. I happen to own a Subaru. I got it from Anchor Subaru down in North Smithfield. So I thought, geez, what could I do with this program? So I went to talk to the folks at Anchor and asked if they would help sponsor the program, and we would get specially printed bags and put their logo on it. And they said yes. So they bought, I think it was 500 bags, and they put them in every new Subaru that was purchased, and that was really cool. One of the first events we did happened to be America Recycles Day, one of my favorite days of the year. In November, we partnered with the city of Woonsocket, and we got the local TV channel to come up the day before and put the word out, and it was a big hit. And so that's the guy from the city of Woonsocket. Let's see, next. So these are just some pictures from the event. It was hugely successful because of that TV coverage. It drew a lot of people. There was no residency requirements, so we had people coming from both states. And then when people got there, they were like, oh my God, I can bring that too. They actually went home and got more stuff. We had Maxman from Rhode Island Resource Recovery come. It was just a fantastic day and really gave us a good kickoff to the program. So then come spring, I was inspired to reach out to all 25 communities and make sure that there was an activity to clean up trash. And so I made a little map to designate and show the date. So we hit the target for all 25 communities that year. And I'm just gonna flick through real quick because I have a lot of slides here. But these are just some visuals and the impact that we had, especially that first year. But yeah, I love, so has anyone done a cleanup before? Anybody volunteered? Did you enjoy it? It's pretty, you might not think it's fun, but when you get to pose with that picture with a pile of trash and you realize what a difference you made, it's pretty fun. And I've seen students get pretty competitive, even the younger kids when we're out there doing it. They actually all run for the same thing and they try to get it and put it in their bags. So you could even create a competition. So here in Blackstone, in Blackstone, this is some pictures. It's actually, that event in particular is fueled by the high school kids because of the National Honor Society to get volunteer credit. So this picture is amazing. So this is on Route 122, and I took an after picture of a particular area where we pulled a lot of trash out. And then later that week, that's on my commute, on the way home, I saw a car pulled over and they were looking over. And I thought, what are they looking at? I'm so curious, I just cleaned that. So I stopped too. They were looking at this family of swans and I thought, oh my God, I just cleaned their home. So I used that as like a before and after. So those are the things that make you feel good. This is another cleanup in Mendon. And we even got Congressman Jim McGovern involved, and we did a big cleanup on the bike path. Down in Providence, there's another watershed group. We had a major event down there. So I talked to you about how I like to walk by the water, And there's actually a book out there, if you ever want to read it, called Blue Mind, and it's the science of how being near water makes us happy and calm and everything. And I haven't even read the book because I already subscribe to the theory, because naturally I'm drawn to the water. And I have this awesome dog, and we go off together. But what started troubling me was all these paths I was finding by the water, I was finding so much litter. And it wasn't just regular soda bottles and beer bottles and things. It was fishing debris, fishing litter, fishing line, bobbers, bait containers, and I just couldn't believe it. And I thought, why, if you're coming here to fish, why would you leave all this behind and pollute the resource where you're getting the fish from? And how can you even stand there and fish with all this crap? So what I did is, naturally, I was always cleaning up, and I started to separate the trash to make a statement. And as you can see some of the visuals, I would photograph it, and then I would put it on social media and just say, hey, what's going on here? So I did some research, and I don't know if you've been by the ocean. You can see that photo, I guess I would call it the bottom center. You can see there's a black fence with a white tube on it. When you go to the ocean, you'll see a lot of these there. It's almost like a common symbol, like the recycling symbol. It's to collect fishing line, and fishermen know what to do. And I realized that, hey, we don't have these by fresh water. So I researched, and I found how to build it. It's very simple. It's 4 pieces of PVC you can get at Lowe's or Home Depot. It costs about $30. And so I reached out to some parks to say, hey, can we get some of these tubes installed? And I got some support from Mass DCR and other places. And I kept digging further, and you'll see the tennis ball can above. There was some students down in Florida, and they created a project called Stow It, Don't Throw It. And they repurposed tennis ball cans. You can't recycle these cans because of the metal rim around the top. So they repurposed the can, put a tie wrap on it, and they put a message on the can, and they would give them out to say, hey, please, put your line in here and save it to recycle. Well, then, you can't put that in your recycling bin, so where does it go? Well, it turns out the company that makes the fishing line, Berkeley, if anybody fish here? No? They make a brand called Trilene. They have a free mail-back program. And you'll see on the left, on that flyer, you'll see like a cage. They take the fishing line and the spools, and they make fish habitats out of it. And so I called Berkeley, and they sent me the recycling boxes. And then on the left, you'll see like a map with all the symbols. I called all the bait and tackle shops in the valley, asked if they knew about the program and would they participate. So we installed recycling boxes at all those places. I got cans, tennis ball cans donated by a local tennis club. We got the program rolling. And then you see a picture of me holding this plastic bucket. Well, just for fun, whenever I found a bobber, I would take it home and add it to the collection. And it didn't take long to fill it, because I wouldn't just find one bobber, I'd find 10. And I pitched the Providence Journal for a story. I brought all my trash in, and they invited me into their photography studio and put me on this carpet, and I made the Providence Journal with my collection. We always walk our talk, so whenever we participate in an event, we clean up. So this was a rainy day. The Co-Zone up in Worcester has a fishing derby, so we did a cleanup there. Again, here's my favorite day of the year, America Recycles Day. I was at a Keep America Beautiful conference, and that's when I met the company called Trex that makes the decking, and that's where I found out about the plastic bag recycling challenge for schools that you're now participating in. Here's the bag you're going to see today. Anybody been to Southwick Zoo? Okay, they have a nonprofit there called Earth Limited, and Betsy Brewer runs that. And she purchased several copies of this DVD for schools to view. So we can give thanks to Betsy at Southwick Zoo and Earth Limited for today's screening. Okay, so another product in the recycling stream that shouldn't be there in your bin is styrofoam. And how I got interested in styrofoam is, remember that event in Woonsocket? Well, he was collecting styrofoam at his recycling center, and I said, hey, where do you bring that? Well, at the time, there was a company in Uxbridge that was actually recycling it, and you see the picture of this man in a yellow shirt. At the time, he lived in Grafton. He's retired now, but his business was to recycle styrofoam. So I asked him, could we start a program to raise awareness about styrofoam? Because it's really bad. When it breaks up in the water, it breaks up into little pieces, and the animals eat it. It's just nasty. So we got a whole program about that. I got the Blackstone Recycling Center to collect it. Unfortunately, the way the recycling markets are, the company is now out of business, but there are other avenues to recycle that, and I can share that with Miss O'Neill and get you folks involved. Also, six-pack rings. I did some research and found a company that has a free mail-back program. So now your school is now collecting them as well. These are just some more photos of friends we made. So another issue I discovered along the way was storm drains. The picture at the top was when I was actually walking over to meet Mike in Woonsocket, and that storm drain really bothered me, and I couldn't believe that this is the source. So all the litter that ends up on storm drains goes into our waterways. And so I thought we need to create a program to raise awareness about this, because some people think, oh, it might get filtered out, but no, it all ends up in our waterways. So there are two ways to go about it. You can do stenciling, which coincidentally, this was with a group from Lifesong Church in Sutton. We did some stenciling. We worked with some kids on you see them putting on the markers. So there's round decals that you can affix to the storm drains. So last year, I decided to file for a proclamation to declare the month of May as Storm Drain Awareness Month. And because we're a bi-state agency, I got it declared in both Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And we made the front page of the Telegram and Gazette. Love their headline, Taking the Planet by Storm. But we kicked off this program. We got a grant from Narragansett Bay Commission to get those decals. See the decal there? So if everyone needs or wants to do community service with us, I have a bunch of these, and we can go out and affix them to storm drains here. We worked with a local school. Massachusetts Water Resources Authority has a coloring book called Dwayne the Storm Drain, and we had the kids color the whole book. This is Carly McKay of Uxbridge. This is my favorite page out of the book, because this clearly demonstrates the problem. When all the trash gets to the storm drain, it goes down into our local waterways. And we brought this presentation to Narragansett Bay when they gave us the grant to give our thanks and to show the impact what we're doing with the grant. And this is another journey that I took. How I got to be such an environmentalist. I used to work for Whole Foods Market, and I spent 15 years promoting all their environmental projects, and they were the first retailer to get rid of plastic bags, and customers were really upset, saying, well, what are we gonna do? While we did give paper, I decided to show them another option, and started, I brought my sewing machine to work and was making bags out of t-shirts. It's very simple to do, and people really got a kick out of it. And when I got to working for the National Heritage Corridor, it was a little bit different. So one of our first events, we brought my coworker and I, we had 2 sewing machines, and we were whipping out t-shirts at the expo. And I started taking it on the road. That was my thing. I would go out and go to farmers markets and offer to make shopping bags out of t-shirts. And I had a farmer come up to me. She had brought an empty grain bag. So when you feed your birds or your animals, you know, your chickens and goats, whatever, the feed comes in big 50-pound bags. It's heavy plastic. and a woman said to me, "Can you please make a bag out of this?" And I was a little intimidated because I didn't know if my sewing machine could handle sewing on plastic. I knew that it had been done, but I had a few hours to kill and I did it. And then I got intrigued, took it home, perfected it, and I started a little side business that grew into not just bags, but I was making aprons and dog jackets and anything you could think of that you'd make with fabric. I started making with these plastic bags. And then it grew into making, you see at the bottom, reusable cutlery wraps. I would get remnant fabrics, and I was ordering bamboo cutlery and stainless steel straws and sewing up these little kits. And I ended up selling them in stores in Providence. So that was a little side journey I went on. And then here is, am I doing okay on time? Okay. This is an art project down in Providence. Anybody been to Providence? It's a lively city, lots of public art. There's an organization called the Avenue Concept, and they had an artist come from New York, his name's Steven Seagal, and he likes to work with different materials, and he's done a similar project before where he likes to work with colored plastics, netting, and hose where he ties it up. So I did a residency with them, with my friend Jen, and we created a recycling project to collect clean colored plastics. In the past, the places that he did this at, they would just get stuff from the recycling center and it was always dirty. So we raised a lot of awareness about getting clean colored plastics. So we focused on a lot of cleaning products like laundry jugs and shampoo bottles. And much of this project, we collected 30 cubic yards of plastic. A lot of it came from the city's laundromats. It's crazy how much just the laundromats people are disposing. And we save those laundromats lots of money by taking all the plastic out because they don't recycle. They didn't have to put it in the landfill. And then I reached out to different athletic groups and colleges to get used athletic nets. And instead of using hose, I contacted some bicycle shops who saved all the bicycle inner tubes. And so instead of using a different product, we used these, I collected like 250 pounds of used inner tubes that would have been in the landfill. So this project now sits down by the river in Providence at the new Wexford Innovation Center. It's going to be there for like 3 years. So if you're ever down that way, you can go take a look at that. But that was amazing. So I just wanted to share a resource for you. The state of Massachusetts has a great resource on their website, recyclesmartma.org. You can go there and get your tips on what you can and can't recycle. So if you ever have a question, they have something called a recyclopedia, and you can just enter the item, and while it might not be able to go in your bin, they'll tell you other resources to go. And I think with that, I say thank you.
I hope you noticed what I did when I first heard Bonnie speak, is that she's a woman who is in marketing, yet every time she saw an environmental problem, she didn't say, someone else should take care of this, or this really needs to get done. She found a way to do it, whether it was the fishing line, the storm cleanups, the storm drains, the water, the cleanups along the roads. And so if each of us could just take that attitude a little bit, we can make a huge improvement. So please join me again in thanking Bonnie for coming to speak to us today.
This story begins with a single plastic bag. One bag that I got from my local grocery store to carry home a single container of peach yogurt. Once I got home, I shoved the bag in with all the other bags, next to another bag full of other bags, and I never really thought about it. Maybe I tried not to think about it. I mean, I'm an average guy. I'm not what you consider a tree hugger. I try to be informed, I try to do the right thing, but I find that it can all be a bit overwhelming at times. I live in a small town in Colorado, and it wasn't until my town challenged another town a few hours away to see who could reduce their use of plastic bags the most that I first started to think about plastic bags and what we do with them. I mean, we all have a lot of bags, right? Everybody does the same thing. We collect them, we shove them anywhere they'll go, like under the sink, into closets, junk drawers. We throw a pile away every now and then just to be done with them, because they're disposable, right? They were created to be thrown away.
But let's face it, there's a dirty little secret here, even if we won't admit it.
Just because plastic is disposable doesn't mean it just goes away. After all, where is away? There is no away. It actually sticks around for a really long time. That got me thinking about all the endless products made out of plastic. A lot of them designed to be used for less than 1 day. Heck, less than 15 minutes even. Once I began looking around, pretty much everything seemed to be made of plastic. Could all this plastic in my life maybe even be bad for me? So I started looking into it. The fact that it is everywhere, the way it doesn't go away, the way it pollutes, the way it flies and floats and drifts and clogs and entangles, the way it gets into things so big and so small, the way we can't escape it anymore, the way, eventually, we may not have any recourse. We'll all just simply have to stand up and say, bag it.
Ice cream doesn't come in plastic.
So one last thing, just have a seat for a second. I want to make sure everybody knows what we're already doing at Sutton High School. There are 3 textile recycling bins outside the schools. In 2019 alone, we collected 22,000 pounds of textiles. You can drop off things that are usable and not usable, and they are definitely recycled. If you have 6-pack rings, bring them to room 208. We send them back to the company that made them, and they recycle them. Put all your water bottles and your Starbucks cups into general recycling. Paper, glass, metal, definitely recycle in general recycling. And the filmy plastic, we are getting credit through the Trex recycling program, where they make it back into those fake plastic wood boards. If you have any questions, see me or anyone in the Environmental Club. Thanks for coming, thanks for listening. Enjoy your weekend.